How children learn language? At birth, we cannot comprehend speech or can produce speech. Yes, by the age of 4 years, we have learned vocabulary and grammatical rules for creating a variety of sentence structures, including negative, questions, and relative clause. And although 4 years olds still have passive and some other elaborate syntactic structures to learn, along with a never-ending stock of vocabulary items. They have already overcome the most difficult obstacles in language learner. This is true of children the world over. Whatever the language may be, indeed the language proficiency of the 4 or 5 years old is often the envy of the adult second language learner who has been struggling for years to master the language. From vocalization to babbling to speech. First is vocalization to babbling. Prior to uttering, speech sounds in fact make a variety of sounds: crying, cooing, gurgling. Infants everywhere seems to make the same variety of sounds, even children who are born deaf. The ability and propensity of utters such sounds thus appear to unlearn. And later, around the 7 months, children ordinarily begin to babble, to produce what may be described as repeat syllables. Example, Baba, Momo, Pan Pan. While most syllables are the basic consonant plus vowel type, like a Baba and Momo. Some consist of closed syllables of the simple consonants plus vowel plus consonant variety, like a Pan Pan. These structures of babbling as repeat syllables has been found to be reproduced by children in all studies language. Research seems to indicate that in language where the intonation contours are quite distinctive, native speaker can tell the difference between the babble of infants who were learning the native speakers' language as opposite to the babble of infant learning other language. And the production of sounds using the intonation contours of the first language is obviously a learned phoneme because when infants babble, they follow the intonation contours of the language which they hear. This is something that deaf infants deprived of hearing speech do not to do. While such infants are able to vocalize and cry, they do not progress to babbling. Interestingly, deaf infants who have been exposed to sign language from birth do the equivalent of babbling. And the second is babbling to speech. It is from the advanced stage of babbling that children move into uttering their first words. Often this occurs at around 1 year of age, but they can occur much earlier or much later. When children begin to utter words, somewhat springly, only some of the sounds that they have uttered in babbling appear in speech. The other sounds must be required, and there is then some discontinuity between babbling and meaningful speech where the kinds of sounds that occur in babbling are not always immediately realized in meaningful speech, while some studies show some continuity between babbling and early speech, like most research show a lack of continuity, like Euler and Ehlers, Stolgemon and Cooper, and Kent and Bauer. In that advanced babbling seems to approach the consonant-vowel combination of later meaningful speech. The relationship however, is not a strong one. Why is there some degree of discontinuity from babbling to the production of the speech sounds? In our view, the discontinuity issues involved us many years ago. The discontinuation between intentional and non-intentional vocalization. Babbling is non-intentional in the sense that particular sounds are not under central cognitive control. The infant does not intentionally make the particular babbling sounds that occur. They seem to happen by the chance coordinating of speech articulators. Various parts of the body that are used to create speech sounds like a mouth, lips, tongue, vocal cords, and etc. The case of the meaningful speech is quite different. Here, sounds must not be uttered at random but must match a previously heard sounds that are conventionally associated with certain objects, needs, and so forth. In order to accomplish this feat, it is necessary that the child discover which sound is created by which speech articulators. It is knowledge that the child must acquire in order to speak meaningful speech is dependent to some degrees on babbling. However, for it isn't engaging in babbling that a child will change on many of the various articulatory for producing speech and give practice to the use of those articulars.